Hi, this is Wayne, President of Reality Ministries, with another episode in our podcast series, Speaking the Truth.
And welcome back. My name is Ben Fields, and glad you joined us today. And we're going to continue our series on leadership. And we've done several podcasts on different leaderships, skill sets, and things like that. And so today we're going to be talking about the secure leader. And a lot of information on a secure leader. What does a secure leader look like? And how can we be secure leaders? So, Dad, I'll just throw it to you. What's your definition, or what's a definition of a good leader, a secure leader?
Well, I guess to start with, Ben, a friend of mine who has been a very effective leader and developer of leaders once made a comment to me: the most important quality to look for in a good leader is security.
Yeah.
And I was kind of curious as to what he meant by that. But we talked, and as I thought more about it, a secure leader is one that operates with confidence, courage, and consistency in their influence on other people.
Yeah, that's a really good definition. And so and obviously in our own lives we work for people who were insecure leaders both, and so we know what that feels like. There's probably times in leadership where while we might not have been insecure leaders, you have moments of insecurity, right? Because you're a human being.
Oh yeah.
One of the things I think about with a secure leader is somebody who brings people around them who are more talented and smarter than them. And that's a difficult thing for people to do, because as a leader, you want people to think you're the smartest person in the room, or you want people to think that you know everything, and you want people to come to you so you're in the know. And one of the things about secure leaders is they just don't do that. I remember coaching high school football some years ago, and the head coach, he was ultimately the smartest guy in the room when it came to football. But one of the things he did is he really relied on me in the strength training to take that strength program to another level, which was a compliment. I've learned a lot about strength training over the years, and we saw a tremendous difference in the young men's work ethic when I took over that program. Not that there wasn't good people there before, but the idea behind it was he really wanted to take it to another level, and he was willing to do things outside his comfort zone and bring people in who just had a different skill set or had some more talent than him in different areas, and that make that program really take off and successful, because he brought a lot of people in like that to make not just me, but just everybody who made the program more successful. And so when I think about secure leadership, and one of the things I desire to be a secure leader is to bring people around me who have more talent than me, more wisdom than me. It doesn't make that person always right when it comes to decisions, but what it does is it just makes your organization or whatever you're trying to do a little better. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think they create an environment of trust, an environment of freedom, in which they really welcome the strengths of others rather than being threatened by them. They're not paranoid people. They are willing to relinquish authority to people. Rather than trying to control people. I think insecure leaders really are always trying to think in terms of ways that they can be in control. And so as they do that, they earn the respect rather than demanding the respect of those around them.
No, that's good. And I think one of the things, as we look at society, our history, anybody come to mind of who you felt like was an insecure leader? Somebody who you just felt like just the way they operated. And then the flip side to that is someone who is a secure leader. And you can answer either one of those the way you want to. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think a secure leader is certainly Abraham Lincoln. If anyone's read the book A Team of Rivals, Abraham Lincoln, when he became president, he actually brought people in his cabinet who were that he was competing against to get the nomination to become president.
Interesting, huh?
And he did, and just like he was well open to their input, even their disagreement in large measure. I know you and I were in discussion recently where there's a third party, and you and that person really want edit in your disagreement about a particular issue, and so those kinds of things can take place when a secure leader is in a position of authority.
Well, I think two secure leaders, and Abraham Lincoln is obviously a good example. I think two secure leaders, the other thing about a secure leader is they're not afraid to hear someone who has a different opinion than them. Now, I think you got to be careful with that, because you don't want some jackass who's always in the crowd going, I disagree. There's a difference, right? There's a difference. But bringing about people who really respect, who like you said, have the same vision as you, have the same purpose that you do, who's trying to implement things that you want to implement, But at times we'll say, hey, look, I see this a little differently here. Maybe we could try this out, and being secure enough to say, yeah, that sounds good. And that builds that person too. So the other thing about a secure leader, I think in terms of building people and really making people, giving people security in their own selves and confidence so at some point in time they can lead down the road. So I think that's really good. Anything else on the secure leader?
Yeah, I think, the examples I'm giving are not necessarily Christian examples, but you think of Harry Truman. When he was president, he actually fired General Douglas MacArthur. Douglas MacArthur was a loose cannon.
Yeah.
And some people thought he was going to run for president himself at some point. He fired him because of the way he ran his mouth, and he did some things publicly that he didn't agree with. Well, that was Harry Truman, this short little guy who was president. He fired him. Another example is Red Auerbach, who was a former coach of the Boston Celtics. He brought on a black player named Bill Russell and even gave him the chance to coach in a town called Boston where that wasn't very acceptable.
Yeah.
He had the guts to do that.
Yeah, it's important at the time. That probably wasn't looked upon. Yeah, it probably wasn't looked upon as very acceptable. Good point there. No, that's good. And I think those in leadership roles and those who aren't or desire to be, I think being secure is one of the most important things you can be. And what would you say as we close out today? What would you say are some things that people can do to become a secure leader, to help them become a secure leader? And we've talked about purpose, we've talked about vision. Do those things help secure leaders?
Well, certainly they need to have a bigger focus than just themselves and the little world that they're in, and keep themselves in proper perspective. I think, from a biblical vantage point, that really is learn to fear God rather than fearing people. And you and I have talked a lot about fear, and I think we're going to come back to that at some point here, because you can't separate fear from security and insecurity.
Right.
In fact, I begin to think that insecure isn't the right word, as well as misplaced security.
Yeah.
We tend to put our security in the wrong thing. All of us do. And when those things are taken away from us, there's not much there.
Yeah.
No,
good stuff today. And like I said, as we close out today, what we'll be doing in the next podcast is continue with secure leadership. And of course, as we've done before, we want to attach it to the Bible. And what we want to do is show examples, at least one example of somebody who was an insecure leader and then somebody who was a secure leader, and talk about the differences and kind of what we want to be like as we move forward. So you can follow us on realityministriesllc.org. There you can follow us on Facebook and YouTube. And thanks for joining us today, and have a great day.